Happy Wednesday, UnWoke Nation, and I'd like to welcome you to episode 149 of the UnWoke Show, where free speech is welcome, all subjects are on the table, and your boys Rich and Tim bring you the latest and greatest for your information, baby. I'm your host, Rich, and my co-host here. How you doing, Tim?
Oh, great, Rich, man. UnWoke Nation, guys. It's great to be back talking with you this evening. As always, guys, you can find us on all the major podcasting platforms at Spotify, Podbean, Apple, wherever you're getting your podcast, tune in and check us out. There's plenty of great content for you to download and listen to. Or you can reach us directly at feedback@unwoketheshow.com. That is feedback@unwoketheshow.com. And tonight, guys, we're going to start off with a little population decline, or as we call it, the Great Exit. Net negative migration hits America.
Oh, this sounds interesting.
Yeah. So tonight on the UnWoke Show, we're diving into something that should be headline news everywhere, but isn't. Okay. Because for the first time in at least half a century, the United States may have experienced net negative migration in 2025.
Wow.
Yeah. That's not a talking point. That's not a partisan buzzword. That's a demographic shock. Okay? It means more immigrants left this country than came in.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, man.
And no, before the internet freaks out, this isn't us doing the usual open borders versus build the wall screaming match. This is actually bigger than that. Okay? Because whether you're pro-immigration, anti-immigration, or just exhausted, this country is built on growth.
Right.
Okay? Growth of people, growth of labor, growth of consumers, growth of tax base, growth of the whole machine. And if this machine stops growing, the machine starts fighting itself for leftovers.
A lot of truth in that.
Yep. Brookings estimates net migration in 2025 ranged from about negative 10,000 to negative 295,000. Let that sink in for a minute. The low end, 10K, the high end, 300K. Okay. That's not slower growth. That's America in reverse. So tonight we're asking the question nobody wants to touch. Why are people leaving America? And what happens if this isn't temporary? Because if the world stops moving toward the U.S., then we're not the destination anymore. We're just a very expensive argument.
That's well put, Tim. You and I, we grew up in a time where, we always heard that term where it says, when America sneezes, the rest of the world catches a cold.
Yep.
And I feel, and this probably even dates back to some of our grandparents and all, when they grew up in the 40s and the 50s, where we had this great economy and, we were building everything, we were pioneers for many of the things and technology that we had all over the world.
Yep.
And for some reason, what happened was, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but based on what I've done for economic studies, is that we went from being a production type of country in society to be more of a consumer society.
Yes, we switched from a manufacturing society, to your point, to a consumption-based society. And what happened in 2020? COVID.
Right.
Everything shut down. And the country had a panic attack.
Yeah. Okay? Yeah.
Because we stopped making shit.
Right.
We were completely dependent on other nations for goods and in some situations, services.
Right.
Logistics was a disaster.
Yeah.
Okay. But let's think about the baby boomers for a second.
Yes. Between 1946 and 1964.
Yes. The last of the baby boomers will turn 65 years old this year.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, because I think they started if I understand correctly, I think the baby boomers started retiring were in 2000, around that time. So, which says a lot. It's still considered one of the greatest generations of all time.
Absolutely.
In America.
And well-deserved.
Oh, yes, absolutely. The things that they had to go through as little kids and, so just amazing what they had to go through. And all, the morals and values that they did teach us is amazing. And, some still live by those today, but I'm sure, Tim, there's a major issue of the domino effect of what you're talking about. So definitely I know UnWoke Nation wants to hear that.
So the domino effect of that is Social Security.
Okay.
Which is already under tremendous pressure.
Yes.
Okay. I think it's, in some circles, it's almost a punchline these days. That it won't be around when you or I or my wife or my kids, friends' kids, whoever, right? That it's not going to be there, or it may have transformed into something else.
Yes, I know the first time I ever heard about what you had discussed right there, so it was from a documentary. It's older now, and but it was a guy. I'd like to say his name was Paulson or so, and I think he used to be the United States Controller. But he wrote I think it was a book, but it also became a documentary. I learned this documentary, and it's called IOUSA. It looks like an acronym, but IOUSA, and he tackled that in a very, very good way that the typical person could understand why people are very concerned about Social Security, retirements, all those different things, and how it's going to be an issue. Now, if I recall, this I think I saw back in, I'm going to guesstimate, probably around like 2008 to maybe like 2010. By the way, Tim, what happened in 2008?
Yeah, the financial crisis.
Exactly. Yep. So needless to say, I mean, it became more of an issue, what's going on. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people who are in the age range that we are, it's like, we're not expecting that to be around.
Right. So the more people that pay in the system, the longer the system will survive.
Right.
But society is contracting. So that begs the question, why are people leaving America?
I mean, I probably think America's a little more expensive. I think we've become such a global society that when it comes to jobs and people wanting to be able to have money and stuff like that, so you and I have heard many a story of people who want to do remote jobs, and also we've heard one of those different things, and people are able to say, well, for example, they're able to make $150,000, $200,000 a year. They know they can take that $150,000, $200,000 a year and move to New York and pay $3,500 a month in rent. Yeah. Or they can actually be able to go to say Thailand, the Philippines, something like that, get a really nice house that will probably be $1 million house if it was plotted right here in America. But that house only costs, say like $70,000, but it looks like a flipping mansion.
Right.
And you're spending maybe $300 a month on food. So, you get the point.
Yeah. Putting politics aside.
Sure.
Okay. Our leadership is kicking illegal immigrants out.
All right.
And I think we would both agree, and I feel confident we have said this multiple times on other episodes.
Yes.
If you immigrate to our country, just get citizenship and pay taxes.
Right.
That's all we care about.
Truly.
But what was happening in the world of business? What was happening in restaurants?
Are we still dealing with COVID, or just talk about
who was making?
Okay, I get it. So yes, you have a lot of people, because what it is with the point that Tim's trying to make here on Woke Nation is that a lot of the people who might be considered to be illegal immigrants are the ones who are taking more of the low-paying jobs, and particularly use the example of restaurants. And
restaurants,
hotels. Yes, absolutely.
Working in the fields for picking fruits, vegetables.
Right.
you name it.
Right, exactly. And so a lot of major corporations, knowing that, using the farms as an example, like for instance, I know they had a major issue when it came to a lot of the picking of strawberries out there in California. I think it's our large productions and stuff.
Oranges and stuff.
Florida, right.
And if you're a business, why would you do that? Because labor was cheap.
Right, exactly.
The consequences being, if you found out for breaking the law, you were going to pay a fine and move on. Right. So it's part corporation. It's part our society for, we know it's happening, but it's jobs that we don't want.
Right. The average American doesn't want to do those type of jobs.
Right. And labor, theoretically, dirt cheap.
Right.
Okay. Again, to put politics aside, you know what's happening in the news right now in terms of ICE and everything. We have, we have covered that ad nausea.
Right.
So, but let's talk about, again, people who are leaving, right? We've talked about passport bros.
Correct.
For example, on previous episodes.
Right.
And why is that? Because they're going over to other countries because they don't want to deal with feminazis.
Right, exactly.
And rightfully so. Nobody wants to jack around with a feminazi.
Right.
Quality of life.
Absolutely, as I was discussing previously.
Yeah. I don't know about better opportunity as much as we're seeing in society. More cases about mental health.
Yeah.
People, again, better life, I'm spending more time doing the things I want to do. You could talk about technological innovation in terms of AI and tools and stuff that have made jobs easier. But I guess you could roll that all together, and that would be one reason or one discussion point on why people are leaving. So people leave, population decline.
Right.
So let's put that off to the side. Before people started leaving the country, what was not happening? People weren't fucking.
Pretty much.
They weren't having kids. And why is that?
I mean, I think there's a change in society, man. And I think that you had hit it right on the head when it came to the mindset of what, like I said, just the family, and also people, having that dream of wanting to start a family and doing all those different things. And I think what has happened, I mean, like, as you had mentioned about there being, the whole feminazis and all other stuff, but as I would also like to say, is like basically we have different ways to where feminism that has come along. Third wave feminazi is a major, major cause of why there is, because we have many women now where, for whatever reason, so they're working a lot of their jobs, they want to do careers and stuff like that. So, but as that's going on, and there's obviously nothing wrong with that, and so obviously, condoned by having education regardless of gender. There's been a mind shift, and the mind shift has been, as we have seen through social media and different things like that, that now people who are in support of the feminazi type of movement, that it's all about, okay, I'm making my own money. I really don't need men for anything. They're trash, they're this, they're that, the other. And so therefore, because that's one of the many cases. And then the second case is like, because now we have it where there's a need for education, or you have, just to break it down in two ways. So now, one, you have the ladies out there who are out there getting the education, going to get their degrees and all that. They're fine by me. That's all great.
Yep.
But then you have the other ones right now where now what they're doing is that, sure, they're making money and also, but they're basically trying to do that more through their social media, their OnlyFans and stuff like that. Want to call it female empowerment or so, and having this, hey, look at me type of mentality. And so what it is that in addition to all that and all that being promoted, what's now been going on is that now there are certain standards where that is, quote, expected out of men to live up to, where so most of them are actually quite delusional of what is expected, or where so, which, we've said on shows before, you hear a lot of these girls you see on social media saying like, I want a guy who's 6 foot, he's making you're making six figures, so and all this other
a
stuff.
high value man, we've that leads right into toxic masculinity.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's just what's so frustrating. And so what's going on is there are two things that are going on. So now you have, just to use clean numbers, you have about 1,000 women who are going after, basically, imagine guys, 1,000 women that are going after two guys.
Yeah.
That fit these delusional requirements that are wanted. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is many people who have spoken on this subject have gotten to the point where there's like, and maybe many people who are listening to our show have already said, they basically feel like, because of these quote requirements like that, that means that the other, 997 men, if we're going to use clean numbers,
sure,
are basically invisible.
Now, I think men in this instance, we have to take ownership.
Absolutely.
Some responsibility for not getting off the couch.
Right.
Putting down the controller.
Yep.
Getting out there.
Getting the gym.
Doing what we should have been doing all along.
Right. Okay. And I'll go even one step further, because you're talking about, in other words, having self-responsibility to improve your life and do those different things. And obviously, you and I were definitely for that. We do that all the time and trying to figure out new ways to improve ourselves. And also, but I would also say the another thing that comes into play is that it's the amount of men who are sitting on the couch, sitting in front of the computer, whatever the case may be, and they are feeding into this social media type stuff where because ladies are getting the type of attention, we used OnlyFans in the previous episode before, that now they're out there and they're spending all these
Tinder, Bumble.
Yeah, exactly. Tinder, Bumble, whatever you might call it, and they're out there and they're spending thousands and thousands of dollars worth to give these ladies this attention. But yet, while they're making money, you're not growing yourself.
No,
it's almost like you're sedating yourself.
Yeah,
so physically, mentally, emotionally, particularly, for what? It's like, when you could be going out there making something yourself. So no, I also put this on men too. If you were able to have enough self-respect to have a purpose, and you guys have heard us talk about this in season 1.
Yep.
It's like, for men to be able to come together and be able to say, like, you know what, I'm going to have a purpose and I'm going to focus on that purpose where. So we got all these other guys where they're trying to run after this OnlyFans or this porn, wherever the case may be, when you could be actually just building up your life to what you want it to be.
Right.
And so what's happening is that there are a lot of men that I've actually got to speak to where they've said, you know what? We're tired of looking at that. We're tired of dealing with all the feminazis and stuff like that. We're just going to focus on ourselves. Yeah. Now, that doesn't mean a word that I'm all for the movement, as they want to call MGTOW, men going their own way or anything like that. That's not what I'm talking about.
I mean, women got to do what women have to do. Men have to do what men have to do. Our society isn't the baby boomer.
No, it's not. It's a very lazy society. It's a thing that, I want greatness like this particular star or actor like that, and I wanted it 3 weeks ago. I'm not willing to put years of work into it. And the worst part about that, Tim, is that we now have it where our kids are actually seeing it. The young children are seeing this and all. So why do we have kids out there that are now going like, oh, it's like, when I turn 18, then I'm going to go ahead and put up my webcam and doing it, all that stuff. It's like, that's insane. And to think of where that makes you someone who's responsible, and it's really not.
So going back to point number 1.
Yep.
We've got the baby boomers are aging out.
Yep.
Okay. Our generation isn't fucking.
Nope.
Not like they should be.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking pre-show about, I don't know, is it going to take a Tinder accident or a Bumble screw up to bring kids into the world?
Right.
Cost is certainly a factor. Our society today is evaluating cost, but everything is a lot more expensive.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So we've got lack of immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
Lack of legal immigrants.
Yep. That's true.
Paying into the system.
Mm-hmm.
Our generation and the generations behind us not getting their asses off the couch, doing what they're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
Couple that with the average marriage Okay, what is it? The average divorce rate in the United States is what, 51%?
51% as the last statistic. Correct.
So going into it, well, can always just get divorced and do something else, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a value there on what marriage is. Take all of that, and now it starts to paint a picture of why, from a birth rate perspective, we're on the slide.
Yes. And I think that there are people out there who have probably done way more research than we have. But, I started initially hearing about this probably about a year ago, and I'm probably way behind in compare. But I started hearing about, it's like, yeah, do you realize there's a birth rate thing going on in America? And I'm like, wait, what? Because most of the time, if we ever heard about there being some deep, in deep dive on the charts where it's always been about Japan, and then as of recently, it's actually been Korea as well.
Sure.
Korea's actually gotten to the point where now they're actually asking foreigners to come over to marry their women so they can have children and stuff like that. And in fact, I think one thing showed that I think the government is actually willing to even pay you to actually go over there and also they could have, because they realize how big of a problem is and it makes sense. You want to know why? Because in Korea, where they work hella hours, Tim.
Yeah. Oh, I bet.
Hella hours. I mean, ridiculous. We sit there like, oh, I got to work, 40 hours a week like that. These people, they're knocking out 85 to almost 100. It is crazy. In fact, I think I read an article once that it talked about Koreans are probably the one in country where it's like they work the most hours than anybody else in the world. And it is insane to wear and talk about mental health.
Oh, yeah.
And dealing with that at work. So when I heard about us being in the United States and having a birth rate issue, that was pretty darn shocking to me.
Yeah. I read a statistic earlier today, and I've included it in the show notes, the article where you can go read it, that by 2056, the United States could have a stagnant population.
Wow. Yeah. Because we're sitting at about 300 and probably 70 something million people. Get about that, or I'm sure
something around.
Yeah, something like that, or so now we're to have that, or where very similar like Japan, man. It's like, of course they're a smaller population than us, and also, but their biggest problem that they're having is that their population is getting older. No one's having children. Most people are most focused about work and those different things. And if they're not focused on work, so they're focused on their entertainment and different things. Obviously, technology is a big thing over there. We literally have men out there marrying flipping dolls, which boggles my mind to watch.
People we did a story on a girl who was trying to marry Luigi's avatar. AI avatar.
I remember that one.
Yeah, that was pretty.
Yeah, I mean, it's just just the lack of communication, the lack of the ability to have communication. All by itself, it's like, we have some cultures where they are terrified to talk to girls. And we're not just talking about asking for dates or anything like that, just terrified. Oh, I don't know what I would say or anything like that. Where it's like, they have nothing to that. And if you don't have that, people are just so focused on their careers and they're like, here we are.
So we've talked about the factors. I hope this is temporary. I think
for America.
Yes. I hope. And I feel confident in saying you probably feel the same way.
Yeah.
What are the consequences if this isn't temporary?
Well,
the first I can think from an economic perspective.
Yeah, you tell me yours.
So from an economic perspective, less people paying into the system is now going to put additional pressure on a system that is, depending on who you talk to, is close to a boiling point.
Yeah. So from what I understand, where it's been a while, so forgive me for this, but from where I think they said at the time of retirement, once World War II was over, for every retiree, I think they had about somewhere between 46 to almost people that were able to pay into the system to take care of that person. I think that has been sliced probably by 60%.
Second, currently in America, unless it has changed, and I have to go back and look, the retirement age used to be 65.
Correct.
Another consequence, if this isn't temporary, retirement age gets pushed out.
Yeah. I mean, when do you start getting to like the point of like 80 or something like that? Or worse?
Yeah. Let's say it's another 10 years. You got to work till 75.
I mean, Tim, I'll be honest with you, man. I have a hard time sometimes just going to Walmart, and I go to Walmart and I'm seeing some of the people, and I mean, God bless them, they're trying to just, be able to survive. But I'm sitting there, I'm looking at some of these people, and I walk past them, and they're sitting up there at the front desk or the by the front door, and I'm going to myself like, sir, ma'am, you look like you were probably about 82. Why are you here?
Yeah. Well, go into any casino.
Oh, yep. Good point.
Look at the slot machines.
Mm-hmm.
Look at who's playing the slot machines.
Yep. Just constantly putting in those courses. You probably, he or she's been sitting there for about 4 hours.
And those are welfare checks, Medicaid checks, whatever.
Trying to go for gold.
Just sitting there.
Just
okay. So there's an economic factor that we've got less people paying into the system. How about from a jobs perspective?
Well, this is something where it probably makes a little more sense. So if you have a population that is getting older and we realize where the technology is starting to become even more present, as you had mentioned before with AI and stuff like that, I mean, we look at Amazon. So Amazon itself is trying to figure out in their factories and stuff like that, where they're basically using a lot of computers. And so what does that mean? You have an unemployment list that's already growing.
Yep.
But now it grows even more so by what your statistics say about there being 2050.
So we've got a skills gap.
Yeah.
If you believe in what the tech gurus, of the world, the Elon Musk, that eventually robots will be doing more and more.
Right.
I don't see it, at least not in our lifetime.
I would agree with that.
Okay. Maybe 2 to 3 generations after, when we're gone. Sure. So you've got people that are working longer, retiring much later, factor in life expectancy.
Yeah. It is good to see that people care so much about physical fitness now, and also, but while that's also going on, how many drugs and prescriptions and all this other stuff that we have?
Sure.
And which is supposed to take care of one thing, but comes with 50 different side effects. Is that really helping us?
No. Who's going to staff the armed services?
Oh, that's a good one right there. But we're just going to get, robots and different things like that in order to be able to fight our wars.
No.
Okay. I love the Terminator 2 ideology, but
as long as they don't turn on us.
Exactly.
Right.
And also, I am robot.
Yep. So now all of a sudden we're worried about staffing our military, defending our nation, being able to defend our nation, being able to keep the ships afloat, keep making bullets, keep making rifles. Okay.
Right.
So there's a defense aspect of it. Unemployment rate.
Yeah.
Skyrocket.
Yeah. Oh gosh. It's, unbelievable. And also that'd be a thing where also you look at the food industry where you have that many people trying to, because you figure they're going to be laying people off like that. So when they're laying people off and trying to figure out, how they're going to make a profit, what does they do? To go straight down to the stores, which means there's going to be more food where, so you already have people unemployed and everything, but now they're trying to get food as well. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. There is a huge, I think there will be a huge shock once this really sets in for America.
Yeah.
Okay. Two guys talking about it, right? We're going to drive initial awareness, and our listeners are going to tune in and see it.
Right.
Or listen to it, right? But once the major news outlets start talking about it, that's when I think people will start to care. I'm going to go back to a point that I made earlier. You and I don't care if you're here legally seeking citizenship.
Right.
Okay. We are a nation of mutts. We were founded as a nation of mutts.
It's a melting pot. Yep.
Yeah. That's what made or that's what makes America the greatest country on earth.
Amen.
But when people stop coming, people stop seeking citizenship, stop paying into the system, then the system starts, as I said earlier, starts to feed on itself. And then that's a whole new set of problems.
And I think, Tim, that's the reason why I think Americans, and I'm not just talking about people who are native-born Americans here, but you had mentioned earlier about people who actually did the process. Like you and I have a friend who came over from Europe, and went through the process of, going through all the, you could say all the things that need to be done, paying the money, like that. A lot of those people are actually upset as well. They are. It's like, why is that? Not only do you have people coming over here who are coming across the border or whatever, or what have you, and yet not only are they able to come over here and not have to pay anything, but you have politicians that are actually allowing or writing bills to basically say that, hey, not only are you over here illegally, of course, that breaks our national law, but we're actually going to give you money that's actually been paid to us by legal taxpayers, whether new citizens or legal citizens. And now we're going to be able to give you money. And hell, let's go one step further. Not only are we going to give you money, we're actually going to sit there and be able to pay for your housing. Oh, one more thing. And also, we know you're not from here and all, but let's also make sure that you're able to have the ability to vote.
Yep.
How is that not going to be able to piss off Americans who are working hard 40, 50 something hours a week? Some people have to go out there and work 2 jobs. People who sat there and said, we realize the opportunity that we have for America, and we want to be able to do things right. We want to go by the rule of law and stuff like that. Only for people to be able to come over here, break the law, do whatever the case may be. Some of them you don't even check what their backgrounds are. They tend to be previous criminal and where the country they are and that stuff. But they're able to get free money, they get free housing, get all these different things. So it's like some of the stuff we got going on in Minnesota.
Right.
So all those different things. So how does that not piss people off? So when you're talking about how we're dealing with a system that potentially could be dwindling because, like you said, nobody's having any kids. Obviously we're dealing with technology, all those different things. So we don't have a lot of people paying into the system.
True.
That's going to be a major, major issue. And I think the sooner we're able to let, as we are right now, so people in the UnWoke Nation know how important this is, the better we're going to be. And at least that'll be the start in the right direction.
Yeah. So with all that said, here's the uncomfortable truth. Okay. America doesn't just have an immigration debate. America has a future debate.
I agree.
Okay? If our birth rate stays low and immigration slows or reverses, then the math is brutal. Okay. Fewer workers, more retirees, higher costs, slower growth, bigger political panic.
Yep.
And what makes this even more insane is that nobody seems to have a coherent plan. Okay? The left wants to pretend immigration is purely moral and anyone questioning it is evil. The right wants to pretend enforcement is the whole answer and the economy won't feel a thing. Both are lying to you in their own special way. That's true. Because if you lose population growth, you lose momentum.
Yep.
And when a country loses momentum, it doesn't fall all at once. It falls the way a business fails. Slowly, then suddenly.
Yep.
The question isn't whether America can survive this. The question is whether America is still honest enough to admit what's happening. That's 100% true. Because if we can't even agree on the numbers, we don't have citizens anymore. And tribes don't build futures. They fight over ruins.
That's right. Well said.
Yep. So, UnWoke Nation, we want to thank you guys for tuning in. As always, guys, you can reach us directly at feedback@unwoketheshow.com. Again, that is feedback@unwoketheshow.com. Rich, a pleasure as always, man. And remember, guys, stay unwoke.
See you next time.